All right, we're all over the place today. I got to give a secret message to the affiliates. We're coming back early, so we'll give you a few seconds here to try to join the program, because we have Sly Stallone on the phone line, and he's a busy man. He can't wait for our crap to be figured out. Is that good enough, Tom?
Yes, just give them
up
10 seconds to come back or whatever.
All right. Tom said give them a couple seconds. Hopefully they'll rejoin the program. If not, what can I tell you?
Why wouldn't they? If we got Stallone on the phone, what are they going to do? Play another boring commercial?
Right.
We'll pad the next one.
Yeah, we'll figure it out down the road, but we're back live with the Opie and Anthony Show. And on the phone, we got Sylvester Stallone. Mr. Stallone.
Hi.
How are you, sir?
Very good, thanks.
I don't feel good calling you Sly or Sylvester.
Why not? No. Live on the edge.
I call him Double S.
Double S.
That's what I call
like
him, baby.
Sharon Stone.
hero to both blacks and whites. One of the few. Schwarzenegger, one. Sly, the other, and it might
Bruce
be one
Lee.
more. Bruce Lee. Hero to all. Lock Up and Rocky 3, my two favorite movies.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, you call from Los Angeles or you in New York?
I just got to New York last night.
Oh, okay, so at least you're not at 5 o'clock in the morning time.
No.
Yeah, you know what? There is something to that. You're right.
I'm actually looking at your bio, and it's amazing to me that, like, 16 years after the last Rocky, you did Rocky Balboa. Was that your choice, or did the studio want you to do it? Like, why did you decide to redo it after such a long layoff?
Well, truthfully, the studio was completely opposed to it. That's why it even took... I would have done it 10 years later, but, times change, the paradigm changes, the administration changes, and the whole outlook of the business changes, and it became much more what we call a tent-pole industry, where you'd make very, very large commercial films a la Spider-Man, and the smaller kind of films, and Rocky was kind of like an independent film that caught on. And the fact that I wanted to play it at my age didn't exactly send off rockets in their heads.
You know what, though? I didn't know if I was going to like it or not, and I watched it, and I thought you did a really great job with it. I love the direction it went into. It was like a really, it was a believable storyline. I mean, it wasn't a guy coming back and just knocking out all these young contenders. It was great.
Exactly. I thought if you made it an exhibition fight, it would be plausible. But more importantly was, can you hook on to his dilemma? Mm-hmm. And if you can, then you have a story.
What was his dilemma?
Well, you've lost everything in your life, things that really, really matter. How do you go on to the second half of your life knowing that you've lost the things that have been most precious to your love, your wife, your child? Can you find some kind of enthusiasm that sparks an interest to keep moving forward?
Wow.
Now, 20 years later, you're releasing the Rambo, which is just called John Rambo, or is it just called...
Well, it was going to be called John Rambo, and then we wanted to be clever and go like, oh, why not to Hell and Back or Up Blood River, and then it started sounding like a serial film. Then John Feldhammer runs Lionsgate, says, why don't we just do something I just call it Rambo, and even though we've had a movie called Rambo, I think there's been enough time in between you can't mistake that.
Now, what's going on with you remember the Andre the Giant stickers they used to have around?
No.
Remember those Andre the Giant faces? It's just a drawn face of Andre the Giant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got like that thing going on in the streets. Like,
you got the Rambo.
It's just that drawn.
Yeah, it's his face just stamped on everything.
Yeah, just kind of
as Rambo.
What is that about? Is that
guys, that to me is that came from Lionsgate, a man named Tim Palin, and I think it's actually genius. I never would have expected it. They'd taken a regular photo and sort of reduced it to like street art, and it's so I don't know, obvious from a long distance away. And then I said, why is this catching on subconsciously? It looks like the Che Guevara.
Right.
And which is still burnt into people's brains.
Well, Andre the Giant stickers.
All right.
I don't remember the Andre the Giant stickers.
It's just around. You know what I mean?
All right.
I'm waiting for Cliffhanger, the 20th anniversary one.
Oh, man.
You're waiting along. This time he gets a job as a window washer.
Yeah. Sly, that Cliffhanger was a great movie, man.
One of the best opening scenes ever shot was you hanging off that rope, holding her hand and looking down.
Wait a minute, was he disgusted with Cliffhanger?
No, it's just probably like, who wants to hang it? And
no. I mean, Sylvester Stallone. Like, were you? Is that one of your favorites, or is that one of your least favorites?
One of my favorites. Yeah. No, I'm saying the idea of going through those heights and the hardship. And I mean, I'm not a height person,
right.
And after a while, you just can't take it anymore. You're going to work 12,000 feet in the air every day.
So you were doing like a lot of rock climbing and stuff yourself, right?
Well, to a point, yeah, because you have to, but something happens when you're doing films like that, and a lot of mountain climbers said it to be true. After about a month, you go up there, you're terrified. Then after about a month, you find yourself going closer and closer to the edge, turning your back, eating your lunch, hanging over the side, and it just pushes a man's ego to see how far you can go before you fall to your death.
All right, sir, now here it is now. Don't take offense. I just need to know.
All right.
What is the backstory of Viagra Rambo?
What is that?
The old man Rambo, the 20-year later Rambo. Not you, but the dude who's like 20 years from the last dude who fought the Russians.
Exactly. Well, he goes back to Thailand. He lives on the border of Burma, and I've perceived this guy as kind of moving back into the jungle, almost becoming animalistic, because he doesn't communicate with humanity anymore. He's lost his faith in God. He's lost his faith in humanity. But he's very, very strong, very brutal, very powerful. And he's a riverman. He's a boatman. And these people have to get into Burma, these missionaries, because they do this truthfully every year. And the only way to get in there is upriver, because all the mines, all the trails have been mined. And that begins the adventure where Rambo now starts to feel a rekindled connection with humanity. But I think I was in the best shape I've been in a long time for that. But I wanted to be not a bodybuilder look, but more of a working class, hard man, like a lumberjack.
You mean more like the original Rocky, where you were big and strong, but not necessarily
right.
cut.
Exactly right. And we accomplished that, so the audience would say, "Oh, okay, this is believable." But it's not vain, and it's not self-conscious of trying to look vascular and all that sort of stuff.
And you're 60 years old, right?
61.
Wow. 61. Amazing.
Holy moly.
Don't keep me out of that one.
Did you ever?
All right.
And that's why I call it Viagra Ram. I mean, it's just like, I'm not, jeez, I'm just joking.
It's amazing.
Now, okay, we was just talking about like all this, the stuff we was just talking about, the racial stuff or whatever. Now, remember in Rocky 5, Rambo First Blood 2, or and the pretty girl that was like Wambo, and
the Asian girl.
Ridiculous are they gonna be having that kind of stuff now? Or are the people in the movie like, we're Vietnamese and there's none of that.
No,
Wambo.
We just had to be as truthful as we can, and
Good.
So we actually hired. Because the worst situation in the world right now, the longest running civil war and the bloodiest, is in Burma. It's been going on for 60 years. So the hardest thing was to get Burmese refugees to play themselves, because they're still terrified, because the Burmese secret police are always coming over the border trying to pull them back. So we didn't get into casting for just, a shock effect. We stayed pretty much with the real people over there. So it's mostly Burmese and myself and this group of Christian missionaries from, let's say, Colorado.
I'm going to guess one of your favorite things, one of my favorite things that you ever did, and I think it took a lot of people off guard, was when you did Copland. The type of a role you played there, which was kind of like the guy who doesn't necessarily win.
Exactly.
Is that something that you would do more of? Because it was really great to see people like you forget, like, oh yeah, this guy's like not just doing action movies, but he's a real actor, and he's people kind of, I think, lose sight of that sometimes with the action stuff.
It falls under the category, careful what you wish for. I love doing ensemble work. There's nothing to me that's more pleasurable. So when I did that, I thought it would open up different avenues, and because everyone always says, oh, the most important thing for an artist to do is stretch. So I stretched my waistline, I stretched everything, but actually it hurt me.
Did it really?
Yeah, it did. It really did. And so people said, oh, he's not into action films anymore. He's doing character work, but the audience doesn't perceive him as that. So all these mixed messages were sent. And truthfully, guys, that was the beginning of the end for about 8 years.
That's too bad, because you were great in that movie.
Yeah, it's like...
I know. It broke my heart, too.
But your boy, that's what his MO was. He gets famous for that. Robert De Niro, he got famous for just losing weight and getting fat and his whole thing.
The difference is, guys, is that if you're connected to a character, especially first, right out of the box like Rocky, so tightly connected to it, where Bobby never had that. he was more versatile, and he would do a variety of parts, but not be connected to one. That pretty much follows you around. But when you're stuck with that, which is a blessing in one way and a curse in another, you're not going to get rid of it. Even if, to this day, if you say James Bond, you still think Sean Connery.
Right. So you're thinking like an example with De Niro is the amazing transition from Raging Bull, and then the next film is The King of Comedy.
Right.
Whereas you kind of
couldn't pull that off.
But do you, like, as a performer, because you are Stallone, I mean, you pretty much obviously will turn down scripts all day until you find something you like. I mean, no one is going to tell you what you have to do. Do you kind of find that, like, I want to have the commercial success more, or is something like that you'd be satisfied with, like a Copland, more important to you?
Well, therein lies a big dilemma. You'd like to do the artistic pieces, but then again, you do want to also reach as many, I think, of the public as possible. So I would opt more now for doing populist films, say like a Rambo, things that will go out there and have the widest audience, because I've had my opportunity with Copland, and actually the first Rocky was not an action film at all. Nope. It was an ensemble piece. So at this point, I don't want to experiment anymore. If something really that touches, like, for example, Edgar Allan Poe is one I want to direct. I can't be in it because I'm too young, and I don't think people hearing Yo Poe would work today. Sorry.
Was there ever a point where you really tried to go to some class or something to not be you? Like, was there ever an attempt for you to just try your best to not be you, Yo Rocky?
Yeah, I in college, you'd almost see the Dias cast. I would go up like many other actors, but I was always cast in a certain role. There's a perception of body type, the sound of your voice. So I was always the villain, the mugger, the fella from the dark side, the friend that your parents don't want you around, and that just blossomed out. And so when I came to New York, the first couple of roles I ever got, I was like, let's go mug Woody Allen, then you mug Jack Lemmon, then you're the thug here. I'm going
with the Lords of Flatbush.
Lords of Flatbush. So I thought, why don't I write a part about a guy who's a thug, but underneath the leather, underneath the hat, there beats a different kind of heart, and that's the beginning of Rocky.
He wasn't that in Tango and Cash, though.
But you know what? I played the wrong role.
Man, Tango and Cash, that was it.
I should have played the Kurt Russell role. Let him wear the glasses.
And I apologize. I'm sorry. I really enjoy what people would call your other movies. Like Rocky, to me, we argue all the time. We argued here before. Rocky 3, I'm a black dude, by the way, is my favorite Rocky. And we argue that, but I think Rocky 1 is everybody's mostly favorite. But yeah. I love Lockup, Tango and Cash, Rocky 3. I like the other one, Nighthawks.
Nighthawks, sure.
Yeah, but I do. The Rocky, my favorite is 1, the last one, and 3.
Do you know what I love about Rocky? When you watch the original Rocky, because obviously it was a lower budget than the other ones, when you pan into the audience little times, you'll actually see at times empty seats during the championship fight. Just the nature of doing like a film before you're so known, and then you see part 2 and you watch those scenes, and there's not an empty seat in the house.
I know, it's so true. We would have people brought in, and we couldn't get any volunteers, and they were going to people, I guess homeless. You would get local people on the street, anyone you can get, and they would only stay as long as the free lunches and the chicken boxes. Once that ran out by noon,
they're out of there.
Playing to a house full of crickets.
Yeah.
What's that?
I just wanted to know if he still talked to Carl Weathers and...
Oh, yeah. Do you still... I mean, it's a kind of a corny question, but it's we become kind of invested in these characters after all these years, and you associate Rocky with Apollo Creed. I mean...
you assume they hang out every holiday,
No, not really. I see Carl now and then, and he's walking down the street in Santa Monica. Hey, how you doing? But it's strange. A lot of actors don't maintain any kind of relationship. We all sit there and exchange phone numbers and say, you know what, we're going to be buddies, whatever it's called, and have the kids grow up together. And then by the time you get home, amnesia.
Yeah, I guess so. You move on to the next project, and they move on to the next project.
Yeah.
And is there anything you regret doing? Like, I mean, you've had a tremendous career. Is there anything that you look back and you're like, maybe I don't wish I didn't do that, but I kind of wish I did that.
And a turned down role. Ask about that.
Oh, yeah.
Anything you turned down?
Yeah, sure. I was going to do Coming Home, Witness, Romancing the Stone. I mean, there's many of those, and I'd end up, and truthfully, you sometimes are very, very open to suggestion, and I think people have to listen to their inner instincts in their heart. half the films I've done today, I would look at today if they were presented and say, obviously this is a cruel joke, guys. You take it serious.
All right, they're telling us he's got to go. He's got a very busy schedule today.
Well, the movie is obviously, where's my stupid one sheet?
Rambo.
It is Rambo. It's in theaters next Friday, which is January the 25th.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. I think it's the best action film I've ever done.
Will you be alive by the end of the film?
Actually, that's the next movie is we try to bring Rambo back from the
Bring back from the dead. SylvesterStallone.com. And, it was really a thrill talking to you. We're really happy that you were able to call in.
Appreciate it.
And your continued success. Good luck with the film.
Yeah, same to you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Same to us,
cool
our film.
It was cool, though. It's amazing. Like,
He was great.
Like, you expect a big star like that to not be conversational. And it's like, oh, yeah, he's Stallone. He's comfortable.
Very cool. Very cool.
He gets carpal tunnel syndrome pulling back that arrow in this one.